When I was a kid, I thought my life would be like this, but I also didn't.
You know what I mean, Ian?
When I was a kid, I used to dream about, and I mean daydream, so dreaming wide awake. And I used to dream about kind of just being anywhere other than where I was, you know? I just wanted to leave my body and go to places, kiss, feel, touch, to light everything on fire.
The only real daydream I remember, besides thinking about leaving school, was in the 4th grade. I used to sit there and think about, man, it would be so cool if Will Smith just walked into my classroom right now and was like, hey, we're leaving. And then took me on the drive around the city.
And then you guys would just hang out and drive around?
Yes. I watched it all happen in my head. And then the bell would ring, and I had to go to the next, then I had to go home.
That was your little happy place that you would go and visit?
Yes. Well, I don't think I had that daydream a lot, but I definitely thought about it once, and that memory sticks with me for some reason. I used to also, when I first moved to the school called the Woodlands High School, in the 9th grade, it was a new school for me. I had no friends, and during the moment of silence that we would do in the mornings, I would always I'd pray to become famous, and also pray that this one kid, Parker, would become my friend. And then one day, we were walking on the track during gym class, and I have no friends at all, and he comes up to me, he's like, hey, Ian. I'm like, hey, what's up? He's like, do you smoke? I was like,
wait, how old were you?
I was 14. Okay. I was like, yeah, I smoke. Why? He's like, well, if you want to come over this weekend and smoke, I'd be down. I was like, okay. I was so happy.
You're like, this is the best day of my life.
Yeah, I was so happy. And then I smoked with him.
I used to catch the bus home from school every day, and it was a really long walk, and I used to walk through this kind of deserted bus terminal where there was all these broken down buses and a huge tunnel, and I used to deliberately walk through the tunnel, and I used to daydream about filming. I was a teenager too, maybe 13 or 12, 14, around then, but I would daydream about filming a music video in the tunnel, and picturing all these lights turning on, and then me,
a big pop video.
yeah, just a pop video of me singing and dancing in this tunnel. I used to listen to David Bowie Heroes every day, or Bittersweet Symphony by The Verve, because it's the best walking music. And I used to pretend that I was in a music video. The highlight of my day was just leaving school. I was thinking about the Brockhampton releases and how those between the Kevin Abstract stuff, and how that took 2 years between releasing those projects. Do you think holding off affected your sound?
Yes, I do.
What way?
I just had time to spend a lot of time on the group stuff, and I had a lot of time to just not think about making a solo thing, and then through not thinking about it, I got inspired again to make my own stuff, and living life and new experiences and stuff, you know.
Do you feel there's a separation between living your life and when you're making music? Because for me it's continuous. I feel it's life is when people say oh, living my life in between making music, I always think that's funny, because I'm well, isn't it symbiotic?
It is, but I feel I'm so deep in it right now that I'm so deep in the group side of things and the way our group is structured and shit, that I kind of look at it okay, I'm done with group stuff. I have a fucking I have 3 months to chill before tour, before we have to do another group album, you know. So I guess with lockdown and everything, and having time to kind of chill and spend time on the group stuff, it really made me not think about my own music at all.
So you mean it kind of you get out of your head to get in your head?
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting.
Exactly. How do you come up with ideas for world building, even the idea this, a content piece? How do you come up with the idea that would get people excited about you outside of just putting out a song on DSPs?
I just don't think of it as something that is separate to the music, or I try not to think of it as a content or something that I'm giving people. I always think of it as something that's sharing or like shedding a piece of skin off, or like a layer, like cutting a little piece of myself off every time. So then I'm always pulling from like an authentic or intentional place where it's not vicariously just for the fact of making or sharing something. So I suppose like world building for me is most true when it's intentional. Also, like when I'm making the song, I'm already thinking about the video, like what that looks like in my head, because the song and the video are two of the same things, you know?
I remember when we were coming up with the name for the first Brockhampton album, like one of the things I was thinking about was like how could whatever name we use and choose, how could it like work with merch and work with like if we wanted a Beats One show or work with like a tour name. Like, what's a word that we can, like...
use for everything.
For everything.
Exactly.
So that way you just see it immediately. When you're making the music, everything fits into, like, this one thing.
I like using words, like, so repetitively. Because I feel like that's something, like, that I love about pop music. Like, I think it creates, like, language. So it's, like, I'll use, like, the same words or the same symbols and the same lyrics over and over again. Or, like, even the same colors in the color palette. Like, repetition is, like... is so like addictive to me. It's my favorite thing, and I see that you guys do that as well, and especially you, and that shows like a lot of confidence, I think.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Early on I did this thing where like I kept trying to, we'd put out a mixtape or whatever, or a song, and then we switched up the style for the next thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, if we just do the same thing for like 6 months, eventually it'll catch on.
My favorite melodies are like the ones that sound humble but really anthemic. You know those ones that feel like hopeful and humble but they sound like really big.